Blog Talk Radio.
Always good to welcome everybody in. Good morning, 8 a.m. Eastern here on the 19th day of 2014. February. Absolutely. February 2014. Holy cannoli. This is Annette Rochelle Aben. Welcome to Attitude of Gratitude. Today's program titled Cattitude, Attitude of Gratitude. Meow. There's a reason for that. Number one, I'm grateful for cats. I like cats. Number two, it's just meaning animals in general, but cattitude rhymes with attitude and gratitude, so, a little poetic license there. But it doesn't really matter what kind of animal you've got around you. If you've got a pet, whether it's a lizard or a cat or a dog or a bird or a horse or pot-bellied pig or whatever you got, we're going to talk about how we're grateful for our animals, but how animals can help us explore an attitude of gratitude and live it and love it. And I'm also grateful for the fact that I have some fantastic music here. David Martinka, member of Sun Shadows, just amazing. He's an award-winning composer, artist, person, musician, individual, and an all-around great, swell kind of guy. You can find his music at www.redbellymusic.com. You can also find his music at sunshadows.net, and I sure hope you do. So there's a wonderful opportunity there for you to connect, not only with David, but with the albums. I've got 3 of his CDs, and they're pretty darn cool. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful. Cattitude, Attitude of Gratitude, brought to you today by an Attitude of Gratitude. Now, why did I think about our pets? The picture that I have promoting this program is of my cat, Baby. Now, Baby is no longer in the physical. Actually, Baby passed on a couple of years ago. And she was my closest, dearest friend for the longest time. I have never in my life experienced a connection with animals that wasn't intense. And Baby and I were together for about 8 years. And there was everything about her coming into my life that made a huge difference in it in very subtle ways. When Baby found me, I had been without a pet for about a year or so because I had I couldn't face having another animal. I had lost a 15-year-old cat to just old age. He just wore out and went. God bless him. Scamper, one of my favorite people in the whole, I think of my cats as people in the whole wide world. And I was devastated. So I kept saying, if God means for me to have an animal, it'll show up at my front door and tell me it lives here. And about a year after Scamper passed, this little cat kept coming to my door, and I kept saying, you need to go away, you don't live here. And the cat would turn around and walk away. Cat would turn around and walk away. So finally it got to the point where this became a nightly ritual for maybe a week or so. And I noticed this cat had no tail. Very interesting point that will come up, play a huge role in a moment. And one day on my way home from work, I got this horrible feeling something bad was going to happen to this cat. Now, mind you, I worked like the midday shift, so I got home from work about 10 o'clock at night. So I stopped at a store and I got litter and food because I didn't have any of that stuff in the house. Had a litter box, but no litter and food. And I got home, no cat. And I thought, oh, man, I should have taken that cat in. I could have taken that cat in. It wouldn't cost me anything to take that cat in. And so I set up on my enclosed porch, I set up some food and litter and water and went in and, started getting ready for the evening to go to bed. And I prayed, please, if I'm supposed to help that cat, let that cat show up. Well, right before I went to bed, I checked, and there she was. Didn't know it was a she at the time. So I opened the door, and I let her into the porch. And she kind of checked it out, and I said, look, you can stay here tonight, just make yourself at home. And I shut the door and went to bed and woke up the next morning, and she had used the litter, eaten the food, drank the water, was snoozing on the ledge, looking out the window, and I thought, hey, cat kind of likes it here. And when I left, cat follows me out the door, and I turned and looked at the cat and said, hey, if you want to be out here in the elements, that's okay, but you can stay on that porch. She looked at me, went up on the porch, waited for me to open the door. I let her in. Now, that's how the cat came to me. And she really, really, really seemed to love it. But it didn't give me a real sense of appreciation of why she was there until a couple days later when my neighbor said to me, "Hey, have you seen the cat with no tail?" And I said, "Yeah, she's living on my porch. Why?" And he was just in tears. "What's wrong with you?" He said, "Well, one of our neighbors was killing stray cats and was looking for the cat." The neighbor had been looking for that cat because the cat, living out in the wild, was walking on his car, and he didn't like that, leaving cat prints. I was never so grateful in my entire life. Never so grateful that I had listened to my intuition. Never so grateful that I could help this cat, because I was just appalled. Now, I knew who the neighbor was, and I could have, taken off and called the cops or something, but at that point, there's probably no kitty cat skeletons around to point a finger at him, and, that's between him and a higher power at this point, because I could stop him from taking this cat's life, but I couldn't fix what happened to the other cats. So I was grateful. That brought an attitude of gratitude immediately that I could be there to help this cat. And it took us about a year to get together, to really become buddies. And this was such a loving, sweet, gentle, amazing cat. But I was dealing with some really intense anger issues, right? I mean, I was just not in a good space. Well, one of the things that I didn't realize is how sensitive animals are to our energy, and vice versa, okay? And when I would get angry, like I had a visit to a hairdresser that had done some highlights in my hair, and she didn't do like these real light highlights that just looked like, I don't know, sunshine hitting my hair. She had done these big, chunky, clunky things that looked like a big old hunk of this and a big old hunk of that, and I hated it. I kept saying, I look like a tiger. I look like a tiger. Well, when I would get angry in the bathroom, blow drying my hair, I would slam the mirror. I would slam the medicine chest mirror and yell at my hair. I know. I'm giving you guys a lot of it. You're going, you really? You got that kind of anger? I said, oh yeah. I was just cheesed off. Well, what I didn't know was that because Baby had experienced such horrific abuse in her life, that what I was doing is I was setting off an energy vibration that went through the whole house and scared her half to death. And she kept running around my house peeing in all the corners. And then I'd get angry. I didn't hit her or anything, but I was like, hey, you guys stop doing that. You're going to go back and live on the porch if you keep doing that, because this is not funny. And one day a friend of mine came over, and she said, oh, look at this beautiful cat. I didn't know you got a new cat. So yeah, they were talking. And she said, I'm going to talk to her for a minute if you don't mind. I guess, what the heck are you talking about? She said, let me talk to Baby. So she and Baby were visiting, and they were talking telepathically in many ways, and she was petting her. And after about 45 minutes, she started talking to me, the person, not the cat. And she said, Annette, this cat's been through, and she told me all this stuff, right? And she said, she can't take your anger. It's scaring her. And I thought, I never told this woman that I was having these anger problems. This was just between me and the cat. I lived alone. I didn't know anybody heard that anger. I didn't know anybody sensed it. Because when I was around everybody else, I was cool. I was as cool as a cucumber. Nobody realized I had a problem. She said, you're scaring her. She thinks that something bad is going to happen to her because she senses this anger. Because this was the kind of anger that was around her before she got dumped outside your house. And I was like, whoa, this is incredible. So I remembered that conversation, and it took several months for me to find other ways to release my anger in a way that didn't harm her or myself, and for me to rebuild that bond of trust with her. And I was never so grateful, because that anger was destroying me. That anger was really, really destroying my life. And I never realized how much until we kept going on with our relationship. If you're hearing this beep, it's because my phone is like needing a charge. So every now and then my words are going to cut out. I don't mean to stop the flow of the connection here. The gratitude that I have for what Baby brought me in my life, a way of understanding peace and serenity, a way of understanding how to communicate better, a way of realizing that everything that we do vibrationally does affect another living being. It can affect plants in your home. It can affect your animals, obviously. And by the way, Baby stopped peeing in the corners, and we became the best of buddies. I mean, almost to the point where when people walked in the house, they said hi to her before they said hi to me, because that was baby's house. It was all baby. She was the hot dog bomb diggity. But what I learned, what I did for myself, what I did for her, I really believe that having that cat around saved my life the way I saved hers. And I couldn't be more serious about that. Now, we flash forward to 2013, not even quite this year yet. Actually, 2012, we relocated out of state from Ohio back to Michigan. I shouldn't say back to Michigan. She was never in Michigan. I was originally. So we moved to Michigan, and our living circumstances were very, very different than what we had in Ohio. She didn't have a whole house to run through. She couldn't follow me into every room because my sister, who I share a house with now, has animals as well, and baby has no claws and no tail. And those are things animals need to feel comfortable around other animals. The tail, because when the tail's up or down, it's a signal, and claws to defend themselves. And the cats my sister had at the time were mean. They're very mean cats. So I didn't want baby around them. And we didn't have a front porch, and she couldn't go out the front door. And she would sit by my door and meow because she thought if you open that door, it can go out. Smart cat. And I'm like, honey, there's no porch. So long story short, within a few months of me moving in here, she died. Very peacefully, found her on the living room floor dead, and I just couldn't even deal with it. It was crazy. I just sat here in a stupor thinking, wow, she's gone. But about a year later, I'm interviewing on another radio show that I used to do, a pet psychic, somebody that talks to pets, a shaman. And I gave her baby's picture because we wanted to give an example of the work she did, but the work takes time to do. So we couldn't do a live phone example. So I gave her baby's picture, and that was it. Didn't tell her anything else. And she went in her psychic whatever and talked to baby, came back and gave me a report. This woman also did not know the life that I had lived before baby, and she said baby came to me to help me get rid of my anger and to help me learn to love again. And I'm going to get choked up here because it really did happen. I've never been more grateful to have that pet, that gorgeous, gorgeous creature that was only in my life for a brief period of time, about 8 years, a little longer, maybe. But when we let our pets connect with us, when we realize that underneath it all, we're all the same, we breathe, we take in oxygen, we release carbon dioxide. We're just there. It's what we do. And we relate to these energies, these animals, our pets. We talk to them. We feed them. We care for them. We laugh with them. We make sure they're safe. We take them to the vet. It pulls something out in us that we maybe didn't realize we had, or amplifies all the really good qualities. And they can help us be more grateful for everything else in our lives. So when I titled this Cattitude, Attitude of Gratitude, I was really thinking about baby. But when you think about how grateful you are for things in your life, I hope you think about, seriously, all the wonderful energies around you, and that you really look hard and long at what the connection is between you and your animals and how that truly does help you find a deeper sense of gratitude. Be grateful for those little creatures that are around you. Be grateful for the love that they bring into your life. Be grateful that you have the capacity to see their kindness, their generosity, their joy, their happiness. Watch them play. Watch them get into what they do. I mean, it's really amazing. It's really amazing. And what's so amazing is that you joined me here today, that you join me every Wednesday, 8 a.m. Eastern, here at Perspective Power on Blog Talk Radio, so that we can share some wonderful times, laughing, smiling. Got a little serious today, but, the attitude of gratitude still is. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for all you do with me. I'm grateful for David Martinka, redbellymusic.com, and sunshadows.net for this wonderful music and his great friendship. Find me, Annette Rochelle Aben, everywhere, YouTube, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Facebook, and let me know. Perspective Power has a page on Facebook. Let me know what you're grateful for. Share your gratitude stories. I would be honored to know what works in your life, and I would be honored to be able to resonate with all of that wonderful, wonderful attitude of gratitude.